are more significantly more important for your school funding than the national average. That's an important thing to understand, because all the tax breaks we're talking about, and you've heard everybody talking about tonight, are property tax breaks or property tax diversions. And when you lose or divert property tax revenue in Ohio and in Cincinnati, you do more damage to your school funding than is true at the national average because of your revenue structure. So what is TIF, tax increment financing, these things that have been growing in your city in both number and cost? The theory is that if you look at that slanting line, that if you redevelop an area, you take a small TIF district and you say, we're going to redevelop this area, and as a result of that redevelopment, property tax assessments are going to go up, and therefore property tax revenues are going to go up, and therefore the area will prosper. But the TIF district for 20 years or 25 years captures all that increment, all that increase, so-called tax increment, and plows all that money back into subsidizing that little TIF district, that little redevelopment project that the developer or the company gets subsidized. None of the increase goes to any public services during that time. And of course, again, schools are the biggest losers when that happens. This is the theoretical model. This is the happy version of the chart. And when you get to the 25 years and out, the orange part on the right side, theoretically, everybody benefits, right? Because the property goes up back on the tax rolls and the property is more valuable, and therefore more property tax revenue goes into the general fund and the school fund. But the truth is, what's been discovered in Chicago and other cities that have been wrestling with TIF for many years is that if you actually back up the chart 5 years and ask yourself what was going on in that area before the TIF district got created, in many cases, the area was already doing okay. It wasn't really that blighted. The property values and property tax revenues were already going up. But the trouble is, when that red box begins there at the 0 years mark, all of that pre-existing natural growth in revenue gets captured. It doesn't keep going to schools and safety and everything else. It gets captured for 20 years or 23 years or 25 years, whatever, in the TIF district. Only that little slice of the pie above the blue line, below the red line, above the blue line, is actually induced or caused by the TIF and creates growth. The rest of it was naturally occurring growth that should have gone where it always went, to public services. And of course, the other big problem, which you have and lots of other states have, is the governance problem, right? Where the power to create a TIF district is given, in most states like yours, to the city, sometimes to the county, but in almost no state, very few states, do school boards have any real power, any real teeth or say in protecting their share of the property tax, which is crazy, right? Because you basically got a free lunch. The cities have a free lunch at the lunch table of the schools, who are losing the most, even though they have no effective control over the decisions. And then, of course, you've got the residential abatement program there, which has also been some controversy. And it was very interesting to hear about the lawsuit, and I applaud those efforts. I get it. You know, it's not unusual. There's in Philadelphia, for example, the same problem happened, right? The city enacted an automatic 10-year property tax abatement for new residential construction in the city. A woman named Helen Ginn, who was an education advocate there in Philadelphia, got elected to the city council, very much on a platform of more transparency and accountability for tax breaks. She got an audit done, and it showed what everybody knew, and same thing you've got there. The vast majority of the abatements went to wealthy neighborhoods that didn't really need the help. There was no targeting. There was no means testing. There was no real way to help people who needed it while not creating windfalls for those areas and those people that didn't need windfalls. And just speaking to the issues that were raised in the lawsuit, you know, we say that abatements may be necessary in some cases, but you've got to be really tight and targeted with them. And one of the things they should always do is address historical racism in our economic system in this country. So just looking at your home ownership rates there in Cincinnati, you know, you've got massive racial disparity.